Let me ask you something. How many moments have slipped through your hands, quiet, easy to miss moments that could have changed everything? Today's episode might be one that you didn't know that you needed, and it's called The Fortune is in the Follow Up. And I'll be honest, this is the episode that might sting a little because chances are you've had a new client come in, fall in love with their hair, laugh at your jokes, tip like a queen, and then gone. You check their
Mm.
name a few weeks later, expecting a rebook, crickets. You shrug, tell yourself they're probably just busy, but deep down, you know, you didn't follow up. And that small silence, it cost you.
So let's talk about the truth about lost opportunities. We're going to rewind it back a little bit. I'm going to tell you a story that once upon a time there was this client. Let's call her Jessica, and she was a sunshine in a chair. So if you've ever had someone you're like, oh my gosh, I just wish I had more clients like this.
Mhm.
This was Jessica. She got full color, cut, the works. She loved it. She even posted a selfie afterwards, raved, and I thought, man, Jessica's definitely coming back. But guess what? She never did. And it wasn't because we messed up the service. It wasn't because she found a better service provider, but because like we as a company actually vanished. You know, if you think about vanished, like poof, you're gone, right? And so it was easier for her to move on, easier to assume that the job was done. And that's exactly how good salons become forgettable ones.
So true. Let's talk about a couple of hard truths, which is only 24% of new clients come back. That means 3 out of 4 disappear. That number just shocks me every single time. And why does that happen? Because most salon owners do 90% of the work, but then skip that last 10%. But that last 10%, that is where the fortune is. That's where trust forms. That's where loyalty grows. That's where referrals are born. But it requires something easy not to do. And that's where the danger steps in, you guys.
So here's a truth that like most people miss. Follow up isn't pushy, it's actually personal. So if you think about the word follow up, actually it comes from the old word that meant to pursue. So it's not a chase. Let me say again, this is not a police chase. You're not going to be chasing after clients. It's not a pitch. It's a pursuit of relationship. So every thank you text with like, how's your hair holding up? Every call, every handwritten card, it says like, hey, we noticed you. We value you. You belong here. And when clients feel that, they don't wander, they stay.
Yeah, that is so good. It reminds me of, a story that Martin shared with us. It wasn't on our podcast. So Martin from Cirque, he said a woman dined there once, just once, but on her anniversary, they remembered her name. They left a handwritten note and a glass of champagne. And years later, she still tells the story. And that's not because the food was world class, but because the care was. So I'll ask you, what is your glass of champagne? Because truly, every salon has the ability to deliver unforgettable. Most just don't even act on it.
That is so good. I'm say that again. Most just don't even act on it. I love that you said that, Lindsay, because that gets me to thinking about what we like to look at and view as called the 3T method. So T is in Tom, the 3T method, and that is something that we use in our salon company, something that we use with our coaching clients as well. It's text, talk, and touch. So this is what we like to call a writer downer. So maybe you need to hit pause and grab some paper or pen, because it's definitely something like you want to make sure that you have these 3 touch points with every client so that you can elevate that last 10% that Lindsay had mentioned earlier. So text, talk, and touch. So text, that needs to happen right after the appointment. You want to thank them, ask if they're happy. If they're happy, send a link with a review. If they're not happy, you could send a link with that takes them to a different place, or ask how you can do better. So that's going to be the text method of it. And we like to make these texts very personalized too. So to be like, hey, this is Jen from, Salon ABC. Just wanted to check in and see how your visit was. Click here. If you loved your visit, click here. If you didn't, click here. So that personalized touch makes them feel so much more important too. The next one is the talk. So talk is actually a quick call, especially for new clients or specialty services like extensions. Ask how their color is holding up, make it very personal. One thing we've done before too is like a specialty service with extensions. One time we called a girl to follow up who was a new extension guest, new extension client. And she's like, it's just something's pulling a little bit. She's like, so I think I might take them out. But as soon as we got her back in, there was just like one little tweak that we could do for her that made her love those extensions. So if we would have missed that opportunity to follow up with her through a phone call, like she may not still be the extension guest or client that she is today. So it's really important to give that quick call and then the touch portion of it. And so I think this is where a lot of times seems like it takes a lot of times, but it can be like the most important aspect of it. And the touch part of it is like a handwritten note. It's a birthday surprise. It's a remembering what they told you about their dog, their job interview, or even their daughter's wedding. So don't overthink it. Think like Nike, just do it.
I love that. Just do it. That is great. That 3T method. It is so simple, but like you mentioned, it's not easy. But if you just do it, man, that's where some magic happens. And so let's talk about, truly how we can change that statistic of, only less than 1 out of every 4 people returning. Because, let's be honest, building client loyalty is a lot like dating, because you don't ask someone to marry you on the first date, right? No, you warm them up, you show them you care, you create memorable moments. And that's exactly how you build a forever guest. So here's what that looks like in our world. This is how we get them to visit us 4 times, and then they'll likely be ours for life. So date number 1 would look like you show up looking cute and prepared. You give them a thoughtful little gift. So this is where the welcome gift is presented. And we always recommend giving 20% off retail. And that person is thinking, wow, they're different because I got a gift on my first date. And, every other salon that I've gone to, I didn't get that. So you're already standing out, but what you're teaching them to do is to purchase retail from you. So you're turning them into that dream girl or guy for you. And then let's talk about date number 2. This is where you go the extra mile with something special. So this is where you do like a free brow shaping or a conditioning treatment, something that really makes you stand out, so that maybe they'll start like texting their friends saying, I think I found the one, because you're just so much different than every other person they've seen before, every other salon that they visited before. And then date number 3. So this is where you surprise them with 20% off a new service. So it's like planning an unexpected adventure. So they feel seen, they feel pampered, and they feel excited to keep exploring. And what you're doing is teaching them to get multiple services inside of your salon. So it's a win-win, you guys. And then on visit number 4, this is where, you seal it with a personal thank you and like an exclusive VIP invite. Maybe you tell them how to become a VIP in your salon, or just make them feel like a VIP. So this is not just a, I like you. This is an, I want you in my inner circle. And just like that, they're yours. And it's not because of discounts, but it's because of how you made them feel. And it's also not about the coupons, you guys. Like, don't make it coupon, stand out. Like, say, hey, it's okay if I give you this gift and you lose these, no worries. We're going to track it. We know to offer you a complimentary service next time. We know you'll get 20% off. We know all of this stuff. What it is it's about consistency it's about connection, it's about chemistry. And that is the magic, that it's not about the coupons, it's about consistency and connection, you guys.
So good. I love that consistency and connection. That reminds me of for our gum lovers, chewing gum lovers. If you've seen the ad, oh gosh, what was the ad? Do you know the gum extra,
Sarah and
Lindsay?
Juan. Oh, my
Sa-
favorite. Sarah
Sarah
and
and Juan.
Juan.
Yes.
Mhm.
So at one time, if you think about extra gum, they were actually struggling a little bit in business. And so they were like, okay, we've got to come up with a way to make our sales increase again. So you might even experience this as a salon owner looking at numbers and thinking, hey, our sales are down. How can we get it to go back up? That happens in lots of businesses, right? And so extra gum, they actually went in and did a campaign where extra is extra, so it means it's long lasting, and he thought that was going to be the winning thing, so they created all this marketing around it. Extra is extra, the longest lasting gum, and still no results. But here's where the magic happened is, what they did is they actually created almost like a love story. They made a love story out of it. And, no one ever cries over gum. But this love story, they actually the guy that's in love with the girl actually doodles on the wrapper. So if you unwrap a piece of gum, there's the wrapper. He's actually doodling memories, real moments on that piece of gum. And then what he did is over time, I don't know, they show it in the commercial. If you've never seen it, you can go to YouTube and watch it. It's really great. He shows himself proposing to this girl. But when this girl walks into this proposal, it has all these little cool gum wrappers that he's doodled on over the years for their moments and their memories. And so, people didn't just respond to the product, they were able to respond to the feeling. And that's your follow up. Their sales actually highly increased because they were able to get to that emotional touch point of it. Instead of just being extra is extra, they told that love story. And that's the opportunity you get when you're following up with clients, is to make them feel seen, make them feel heard, so that when you go into that store, that memory of seeing extra gum is going to want to make you buy extra gum. So we get the opportunity to do that in our salons every single day. So it's not just a reminder, it's a moment that means something.
I love that. That commercial is just super moving. And I think what's really cool about it is like it starts out so simple and sweet. Like she drops her books and he helps her pick them up. And it's like you can feel that connection. And as the viewer, it's like you remember maybe a moment in your life where you fell in love, And the same thing happens in our salon. Maybe it's like the first visit, you're like, man, this is great. But then as their story progresses, like, yes, he's doodling, he's doing all this stuff, but like you can almost kind of feel there's a moment where they're kind of feeling distant. Like you can tell they're on Zoom. They're not as like deeply woven as they once were. Maybe life got a little busier. That can happen in the salon too. Like when somebody's been a client for a while, when was the last time you checked in? When was the last time you did something to make them feel special, because it goes beyond those first 4 visits. And, then when it ends with him with the proposal, like, and then you seeing all these memories, it's like, wow, he did care, And so like us, I love, because now ever since seeing that, I'll never think of another gum company other than Extra every time I go to the checkout stand, which is what they were trying to do. We can do the same thing, inside of our salons every single day. But I'm going to be honest. If you have been putting off your follow-up system, if you have been telling yourself you'll do it next week, if you're convinced that clients will come back if they want to, you're not lazy. You're just forgetting the cost of waiting. Build the system, assign someone to own it, track the second, third, and fourth visit like your future depends on it, because it does. We had a guest cancel 3 times once and we could have written her off. Instead, we followed up with a card and a phone call, and she returned and became one of our most loyal clients. And she didn't need a new stylist. She just needed to feel seen, you guys.
So good. She just needed to feel seen. We know, we get it. Like salon ownership can be hard. It is hard. But if you didn't start this business to survive, you started it to stand out, to serve at a higher level, to care in a way that most never will. So care loudly, follow up boldly, and don't let another Jessica, like we talked about earlier, slip through the cracks. The fortune isn't just in the follow up, the legacy is.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode of Salon Success Secrets. If you want some great resources, go over and check out our YouTube channel or our website. We have all kinds of great downloads, but we just invite you to share this episode with somebody that you think could take away something great from it, another salon owner. But until then, go lead, go love, and go follow up like your business depends on it, because it does.